after the suspension earlier this week that Coach Simmons has dismissed a couple of players, at least for this game. And that puts so much pressure on everybody else. Were you expecting, because of those suspensions, and all of them were secondary guys, that they would have to blitz more to compensate?
Yeah, I asked
penalty. Repeat second down.
I asked Rob Ryan that, and he said, no, we're going to do what we do. And he says, I'm aware of who's back there. And Mike Cassidy, the secondary coach, said the same thing. But he said, we are going to do what we do. And that's blitz, and that's play a lot of man and change it up with some zone. And that's exactly what they're doing today.
They're very creative blitzers. Just about 60% of the time, they will bring more than 4. Heupel now is 2nd and 15. The pressure again by 5. Heupel going for the big one, and it is incomplete. Intended for Brandon Daniels. That pass just started to float about halfway down.
Heupel that time just put the ball up in the air and was hoping that Daniels had enough time to run underneath it. But as you said, a little bit too much air underneath that one. He does not have a cannon of an arm,
no.
But he's very, very accurate, and he's got what they call a nice touch when you watch him throw the football in pregame warm-up and in practice.
Quentin Griffin in the backfield. The Sooners facing 3rd and 15.
You're going to see Oklahoma State here, a bunch of guys around the line of scrimmage, and they come out and play zone.
They bring 3, they flip it out to Quentin Griffin. Bangs his way over the 45-yard line, and that's where they're going to knock him out of bounds. And that'll set up a 4th down and 5. Pickup of 10 on the play.
See, that's the chess match a little bit that time. Heupel thought it was going to be a blitz, so he called the play that was good against man coverage. Oklahoma State dropped out in the zone, and they were able to rally up and get the play.
Well, Oklahoma is going to go for it. On 4th down and 5, they'd be punting into a pretty stiff wind that has just kicked up here in Norman. The Cowboys showing 3 on the rush.
And it looks like the Cowboys are going to only rush 3 and play 2, cover 2 behind it.
Well, he was trying to obviously get them offside. They don't have a timeout to use. I think they're already out of timeouts. It's a delay of game call.
Give the credit, though, to the deception that time of the Oklahoma State defense, because they confused Josh Heupel. And he's seeing a bunch of looks today that I think he did not anticipate seeing. And sometimes quarterbacks try too much, but he's in a chess game with that guy right there, Rob Ryan.
Now the Sooners will have to kick it away again. Richardson standing on his 10, didn't practice this week. He's been dinged up a little bit, but he is still dangerous. This is a high, short kick. Fair catch is called for right at the 20. And that's where OSU will take over. For a Dr. Pepper game break, we send it to Kevin Frazier.
Guys, we check in on Vandy and Tennessee, second quarter, 10-zip balls. T. Martin, the quick pass to Leonard Scott. He's going, gone. A 33-yard touchdown play. No problem for the Volunteers. They win 38-10 and improve to 9-2 on the season. Now the question is, where do they fit in, and do they fit into the BCS mix? Artie?
No, they do not. They should not be there with 2 losses, especially with a team like Kansas State, who's only got 1 loss. Tennessee should not go to the BCS games.
Lindsey, this is where he's dangerous, running the option, but the OU defense up to the challenge, holding him to 5 yards before Roy Williams, who's having a nice football game so far this afternoon, on the stop. Hey, you talk about that bowl implications. Oklahoma State's not sure. OU, they're rumored to go to the Alamo Bowl, but when A&M beat Texas yesterday, that threw a monkey wrench into everything. Now nobody knows where anybody's going.
Well, that's all good, because that means there's a lot of good football teams playing, as we look at Williams again, who's had an outstanding game so far. And I know the people in California are very proud of him.
Inside of 2 minutes. 2nd and 4. The Cowboys are on schedule on this drive. Sooners rush 4. Lindsey steps away. Down at the 29-yard line, short of the 1st down. And we talked about the BCS standings, and the computers didn't take Thanksgiving off, and this is where they stood coming into this week. Florida State Virginia Tech and Nebraska, and of course everybody was saying Nebraska didn't win by enough.
Yeah, well, I don't know about anything, but I do know that Virginia Tech is undefeated, and they should play Florida State in the championship game, because the one thing a computer never measures, and that's emotion. And Virginia Tech has won some big games this year, and so has Nebraska. But the two teams that are undefeated deserve to go.
Bob's looking for the first down, and he gets it with a couple to spare as we head to the 61-second mark left in the first half.
When was the last time you saw a computer at a football game?
I haven't seen one. I still haven't figured it out.
Me either.
I think Frank Solich and Frank Beamer had the great lines that they're going to get their computer guys at their respective schools to explain everything to them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I thought they were great lines, and both coaches have got it into perspective.
Yeah, computers and me don't get along.
I know I've gotten some email from you.
Yeah.
You can't spell either.
$3,000 solitaire machine is what I got. Cowboys trying to do something. Waning minutes of the first half. Pass is complete up to the 40-yard line to Gabe Lindsey. Little brother who caught a touchdown pass, who had a great reception, I should say, last week against Baylor, comes up with that catch, his second of the afternoon. And Lindsey's trying to call a timeout, and they finally get it.
And, you know, Oklahoma State that time looked a little disjointed, because if you want to call a timeout, you do it right away. And it's hard sometimes to substitute in these 2-minute drills. And that's what Bob Simmons is telling his young quarterback. Hey, you got to call the timeout right away, and, you know, or give us some time to get some guys in, but we can't be doing both.
Well, you have to talk about the maturing process of Tony Lindsey. A couple of years ago, of course, he was the Big 12 Offensive Freshman Newcomer of the Year.
And real good, too.
Very good, and the expectations were so high last year when he came in, and he did not have a good year last year, and a lot of people felt that it was because of Chris Halupka. It was a backup quarterback that Bob Simmons alternated, and Halupka transfers, and Bob Simmons came into us and told us in July already, he said, we're going to be a great offensive team if Tony Lindsey doesn't get hurt.
And he got hurt.
First game gets hurt.
It's too bad. And on the other side of the field, it was the opposite, because they end up going to get a junior college quarterback in Josh Heupel. As we look at the defense right there from Oklahoma, as they gather around their co-defensive coordinator, Brent Venables, and Brent does a great job, and a good young coach as he's talking to some of the defensive linemen.
28 seconds to work with for the Cowboys, trailing 14-7. OU led 7-0 after the first quarter on a touchdown pass to Brandon Daniels. Both teams traded TDs here in the second. Empty backfield behind Lindsey, who moves into the shotgun.
You see the three receivers up at the top. Look for a pass to go to the outside.
The Sooners showing a blitz. They go inside. Pass is complete to Brian Blackwood. Again, good use of the tight ends. Another first down for the Cowboys.
And I said throw the ball to the outside, so if you catch it, you can run out of bounds with the ball, because what that didn't do was stop the clock.
Blackwood, the former JUCO All-American out of Northeastern Oklahoma. Final 20 seconds. Lindsey, another quick pass, another completion, another one to Blackwood. And they used a lot of time and didn't get really a whole lot, because first downs at this point already really don't mean a whole lot.
No, it's exactly right. You want to get down the field so you can kick a field goal, and Bob Simmons knows it. Ron, I've always felt as a coach, it's one of the most difficult things to practice is the 2-minute drill, because of the adrenaline and the tension that goes along with it in a game that you don't get in practice, obviously.
Now the season for Bob Simmons, racked by injury. They opened up with a couple of wins, and they lost a tough one to Mississippi State. And Nebraska came back, looked excellent against Texas Tech. And they lost that 3 in a row to
yeah, those
State
three
A&M
guys,
Texas.
that's pretty good schedule right there, especially all 3 in a row.
He was so proud of his ball club, though, to come back and win the last 2 against Kansas and Baylor. Granted, they are not the A&Ms and Texases of the conference, but Bob Simmons says our guys could have easily folded the tent, called it a season, but they didn't. And now they've put themselves in a position where they can go to a postseason game.
You know, Bob is a guarded man, he's a cautious man, but he's a strong man. And I think he made a bold move and the right move in suspending those kids this past week. And I'll tell you, he never blinked. He said that was the right thing for me to do, and I'm going to do it.
Total offense, the Sooners with the advantage, but it isn't a whole lot. Not what they're used to. 11 seconds left. Lindsey being chased. Lets it fly, and it is going to be knocked down incomplete. William Barty got a hand on it.
At halftime, Oklahoma State had better solve the pressure coming off the corner that time, because that's about the 5th time it's happened today. As you see, Barty, who made a good play, but it was set up by the pressure.